connections made. And we can go to Daniel Vise, who is in the Washington Post's Northwest D.C. newsroom now to talk about the situation in Montgomery County. And Daniel, it's hard to know if this is just sort of bluff and bluster on the part of Jerry Vise, the school superintendent there, or if there really is that much of a budget problem there where kids actually will be faced with walking to school or getting a ride with mom and dad instead of going on the school buses come September. Which is it? Do we know yet?
Well, we know that tonight the school board is going to vote on a sentence added to the transportation policy that would give the superintendent sort of emergency powers so that if prices of diesel continued to rise over the next school year, he could, with very minimal time lapse and public comment, change the distances, the maximum distances that children have to walk. Right now it's between 1 mile and 2 miles, and it's sort of depending on how old your kids are.
Yes.
And if what he said is $1 million change in fuel, which could happen for a system of that size, that equals 15 or 20 teaching positions, and so it's not chump change.
It does seem like this is one of those third rail kind of issues, though, that if everybody's confronted with difficult choices as a result of fuel prices. But if you then suddenly change the family's routine and that sort of thing, you're going to have an awful lot of folks, I would think, get awfully upset with Jerry Vise or whomever actually gets to make
in the works. Already concerned about it. I think they'll be more concerned about it at the meeting tonight. And if the school board acts and adds this language, they will certainly be watching it into the fall.
Sure.
You know, 10, 15 years ago, the school board made a similar maneuver to change walking distances just for high school students, and there was an uproar.
And what you're essentially saying too is that the only wiggle room you've got here is on the transportation budget, that there aren't projects or programs that might be sacrificed instead. You have to think that you revisit the whole budget in something like this, or at least that will be the call on the part of some critics.
Well, the key thing here is that in the mind, I think, of the school board, fuel, school bus service does not really affect, it's not the classroom. And, you know, the thinking of most school boards is if you have to make cuts, if expenses are going up, you don't want to touch the classroom.
Sure.
And asking some, maybe say, middle school kids to walk another 0.25 miles, of course it would be onerous, but it wouldn't affect the classroom, and that may be what guides their thinking if they vote to approve this, which they may not. It depends on the amount of rancor that is expressed tonight.
Those very politically savvy and well-organized parents out there. It'll be an interesting meeting. We'll sure that you'll be watching it, and we'll keep an eye on it too. Daniel Vise, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Up next for you live this morning, D.C. Police